I knew my husband was lying the moment I saw his car parked outside a hotel. For 3 months, Daniel had told me the same thing every Thursday afternoon. I'm going to visit Mom. His mother lived nearly an hour away and had been battling serious health problems for over a year. Naturally, I never questioned him. Why would I? Then one rainy Thursday, while driving home from work, I stopped at a red light and glanced across the street. That's when I saw Daniel's truck. Parked outside a hotel. Not a hospital. Not his mother's house. A hotel. My heart stopped. And before that red light turned green, I had already begun questioning everything I thought I knew about my marriage. My name is Emily Carter. I've been married to Daniel for 26 years. We raised 2 children together. We survived layoffs, financial struggles, family losses, and every challenge life threw at us. At least I thought we had. Standing at that red light, staring at his truck, I suddenly wondered if I had spent 26 years loving a man I never truly knew. I kept driving. But my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I told myself there had to be an explanation. A reasonable explanation. Maybe he was meeting someone. Maybe he was helping a friend. Maybe. The excuses kept getting weaker. Because deep down, I already feared the truth. Or at least the truth I thought I knew. That night Daniel came home carrying takeout from my favorite restaurant. Normally that would have made me smile. Instead I found myself studying his face. Looking for signs. Looking for guilt. Looking for evidence. "Everything okay?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Fine." He nodded. But something felt different. For the first time in our marriage, I felt like I was sitting across from a stranger. Over the next several weeks, I started noticing things I had ignored before. His phone never left his side. He stepped outside to take calls. Sometimes he smiled while reading messages. Then quickly locked the screen when I entered the room. One evening I walked into the kitchen unexpectedly. He was texting. The moment he saw me, he flipped the phone over. The action lasted less than a second. But it burned itself into my memory. When trust starts cracking, every small thing feels enormous. A few days later I found a receipt in his jacket pocket. A jewelry store receipt. My stomach dropped. The purchase wasn't cheap. Several $100s. I stared at it for nearly 5 minutes. My birthday wasn't coming. Our anniversary had already passed. So who was the gift for? When I confronted him, Daniel's reaction made things worse. Much worse. "Why were you looking through my pockets?" I wasn't. "Emily. Who was the jewelry for?" His face tightened. Then he looked away. "I can't tell you." "Can't." Not won't. Can't. Those words haunted me. Because innocent people usually explain themselves. Daniel wasn't explaining anything. That night I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his truck outside that hotel. I saw secret text messages. I saw hidden jewelry. I saw betrayal. A month later, our daughter Sophie noticed the tension. We were having dinner when she finally asked, "Are you two okay?" Neither of us answered immediately. The silence itself was an answer. She looked between us. "Mom?" I swallowed hard. "We're fine." Daniel nodded. Too quickly. Too forcefully. Sophie frowned. "I don't think you are." After dinner she pulled me aside. "What happened?" I hesitated. Then told her everything. The hotel. The secret calls. The jewelry receipt. The Thursday trips. As I spoke, I watched her expression change. Confusion. Concern. Then heartbreak. "No." She shook her head. "Dad wouldn't do that." "I hope you're right." But I didn't sound convinced. Not even to myself. A few days later my son Ryan came over. Sophie had already told him. His reaction was very different. Ryan became angry. Very angry. If Dad's cheating, he should just tell you. Hearing my own son say the words out loud felt like being stabbed. Because suddenly the possibility became real. Not just a fear. Not just a suspicion. Something that could actually destroy our family. And then another clue appeared. The one that pushed me over the edge. The one that convinced me I needed answers. It happened on a Thursday afternoon. Daniel left home carrying a small gift bag. He kissed my forehead. Then said the same words he always said. I'm going to see Mom. I waited exactly 10 minutes. Then I grabbed my keys. And followed him. What I discovered that afternoon would make me believe my marriage was already over. And before the day ended, I would come face to face with a woman I had never seen before. The moment Daniel turned into the hotel parking lot, my heart sank. I parked across the street and watched through trembling hands. For several minutes, he stayed inside his truck. Then he picked up the gift bag. And walked toward the entrance. I couldn't breathe. 3 months of suspicion. 3 months of lies. 3 months of wondering. And now I was about to get my answer. I waited 30 seconds before following him. My legs felt weak. My stomach churned. Every step toward that hotel felt like a step toward the end of my marriage. Inside the lobby, I looked around desperately. Daniel was gone. I approached the front desk. Excuse me. The receptionist smiled politely. Can I help you? I immediately realized how ridiculous my plan was. I couldn't exactly ask if my husband was cheating on me. So I thanked her and walked away. Then I noticed the elevator doors closing. Daniel was inside. I ran toward them. Too late. The doors shut. I stared at the floor indicator. 3rd floor. A few moments later I entered another elevator and pressed the same button. My pulse pounded in my ears. When the doors opened, I stepped into a quiet hallway. Room after room stretched before me. Then I saw him. Standing outside room 318. Knocking. The door opened. A woman appeared. My world stopped. She looked about 40. Pretty. Dark hair. Kind eyes. The kind of woman you immediately notice. The kind of woman I suddenly hated. Daniel smiled. Then handed her the gift bag. I felt physically ill. The woman touched his arm. And invited him inside. The door closed. My marriage was over. At least that's what I believed. I don't remember getting back to my car. I only remember crying. Years of memories flashed through my mind. Our wedding day. The birth of our children. Family vacations. Christmas mornings. Everything felt contaminated. Every memory suddenly carried a question. Had he loved me during those moments? Or had he simply been waiting for someone else? That evening Daniel came home. He looked tired. The way he always looked after visiting his mother. Except now I knew where he'd really been. Or so I thought. I couldn't keep pretending. Not anymore. How's your mother? The question came out sharper than intended. Daniel paused. About the same. I laughed bitterly. The sound surprised both of us. His expression changed immediately. Emily? Don't. His face paled. What's wrong? I stood up. What room was she in? Confusion filled his eyes. What? The hotel. Silence. A horrible silence. And in that silence, I thought I saw guilt. Real guilt. The kind guilt you can't explain away. You followed me. It wasn't a question. I nodded. Neither of us spoke. Finally I whispered. Who is she? Daniel closed his eyes. For a moment he looked exhausted. Not angry. Not defensive. Exhausted. But at the time, I didn't understand the difference. I can't tell you. The words hit me like a slap. I laughed through tears. Of course you can't. Emily. No. I pointed toward the door. I saw you. His shoulders slumped. I know. You lied. I know. You told me you were visiting your mother. His voice cracked. I know. Every answer felt like another confession. Every answer made him look guiltier. Then I asked the question I had been dreading. Do you love her? For the first time, genuine pain crossed his face. Not guilt. Pain. But I couldn't see that then. I only saw a husband who wouldn't deny it. And that silence destroyed me. I started crying. Years of fear pouring out all at once. I trusted you. Daniel took a step forward. I stepped back. Please don't. His eyes filled with tears. That only made me angrier. How dare he cry? How dare he look hurt? I was the one being betrayed. Or so I believed. For several seconds neither of us spoke. Then the doorbell rang. The timing felt almost cruel. I wiped my eyes. Daniel froze. Someone rang again. Slowly I walked toward the front door. And opened it. The woman from the hotel was standing there. Holding the same gift bag. My entire body went numb. For a second nobody spoke. Then she looked at me and said something that changed everything. Mrs. Parker? I nodded cautiously. The woman's eyes filled with tears. Then she said, I've wanted to meet you for months. Nothing made sense anymore. I looked at Daniel. Then back at her. My anger suddenly collided with confusion. The woman swallowed hard. My name is Claire. I said nothing. Claire glanced at Daniel. Then back at me. And the next sentence shattered every conclusion I had spent months building. Every secret phone call. Every Thursday visit. Every hidden receipt. Every lie. Every suspicious clue. Every painful assumption. I'm the recipient of your husband's kidney. The room disappeared around me. I stared at her. Certain I had misheard. What? Claire's eyes overflowed with tears. Daniel saved my life. My knees nearly gave out. Daniel looked down. Unable to meet my eyes. Claire continued speaking through tears. 2 years ago I was dying. My heart pounded. Doctors couldn't find a match. She smiled sadly. Then your husband volunteered. The world stopped. Every suspicion. Every accusation. Every theory. Everything collapsed. And the truth was somehow far more heartbreaking than betrayal. But the biggest revelation was still coming. Because Daniel hadn't hidden the donation to protect himself. He had hidden it for a reason that would leave me in tears. I stared at Claire. My mind refused to process what she had just said. Kidney. Donation. Saved my life. The words echoed inside my head. I looked at Daniel. Then back at Claire. Then at Daniel again. Everything I thought I knew had been ripped apart in seconds. You're saying? My voice barely worked. Claire nodded. Your husband donated one of his kidneys to me. I felt dizzy. The room seemed to tilt beneath my feet. Every suspicious clue suddenly looked different. Every lie carried a new meaning. Every secret became something else entirely. Not betrayal. Sacrifice. And I wasn't prepared for that truth. Not after months of believing the worst. Claire carefully stepped inside. The gift bag still hung from her wrist. I noticed my hands shaking. Daniel remained silent. As if he was waiting for me to hate him. Or forgive him. Or both. Finally I found my voice. When? Claire looked at Daniel. Almost 2 years ago. I turned toward my husband. 2 years? He nodded slowly. You had surgery? Another nod. And you never told me? Daniel looked away. The guilt on his face was overwhelming. But now it wasn't the guilt of betrayal. It was the guilt of secrecy. A completely different kind of pain. I wanted to. His voice cracked. I tried so many times. Then why didn't you? Silence. The kind of silence that usually hides a painful truth. And Daniel had one. A truth that would break my heart even more. He sat down slowly. Then looked directly into my eyes. Because of your father. I froze. My father had died 3 years earlier. Unexpectedly. Suddenly. And the loss had devastated me. What does Dad have to do with this? Daniel swallowed hard. A lot. I sat down across from him. Unable to look away. For the first time that evening. He began telling me everything. The real story. The complete story. The story he had carried alone. 2 years earlier, while I was helping care for my father during his final months, Daniel had gone for a routine medical checkup. During that visit, he learned about Claire. A woman desperately searching for a donor. A woman running out of time. Most people would have moved on. Daniel couldn't. He kept thinking about her. Thinking about her family. Thinking about the possibility that someone might die waiting. Eventually he got tested. Privately. Quietly. Without telling anyone. Including me. A few weeks later he learned he was a match. A perfect match. My eyes filled with tears. Daniel. He rubbed his face. I kept imagining someone losing the person they loved. His voice broke. And at the time. He couldn't finish. I understood anyway. At the time we were already losing my father. Every day felt uncertain. Every phone call felt terrifying. Every hospital visit felt heavy. Daniel continued. I couldn't put more fear on your shoulders. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Because suddenly I understood. He hadn't hidden it because he didn't trust me. He had hidden it because he loved me. Too much. I thought I'd tell you afterward. He laughed sadly. But then your dad got worse. I remembered those months. The endless appointments. The sleepless nights. The fear. The grief. The exhaustion. Daniel had carried all of that with me. While carrying his own secret. Alone. Claire quietly wiped her eyes. He saved my life. Nobody spoke. Then she added softly. My children still have their mother because of him. That sentence shattered me. Completely. I looked at Daniel. Really looked at him. Not through suspicion. Not through fear. Not through anger. Through truth. And suddenly I saw the man I had fallen in love with 26 years ago. The man who always helped strangers. The man who stayed late to help neighbors. The man who gave without expecting anything back. The man who would absolutely sacrifice part of himself to save someone else's life. Of course he would. That's who he was. The problem wasn't that I didn't know my husband. The problem was that I had forgotten who he was. Claire eventually opened the gift bag. Inside was a photo album. She handed it to me. I opened the first page. And immediately began crying. Photographs. Dozens of them. Pictures of Claire with her children. Birthday parties. School events. Family vacations. Ordinary moments. Beautiful moments. Moments that only existed because she was still alive. On the final page was a handwritten note. It read, "Dear Daniel and Emily, every birthday I celebrate is because of your family's sacrifice. Every hug from my children exists because of your kindness. You gave me years I never thought I would have. Thank you for giving my family more time." I couldn't read another word. The tears became too heavy. For months I had believed my husband was breaking hearts. Instead he had been saving one. Maybe several. Claire left an hour later. But before leaving, she hugged me. Then hugged Daniel. And quietly said something I will never forget. "The world needs more people like you." After she left, the house became silent. Just me and Daniel. The silence felt different now. Not cold. Not painful. Just honest. For a long moment neither of us spoke. Then I finally asked the question that mattered most. "Why were you still seeing her?" Daniel smiled sadly. "Because she was having complications." My stomach dropped. "What?" "The transplant was successful." He nodded. "But she developed other health issues." I immediately understood. The Thursday visits. The hotel. The meetings. The gift bags. The phone calls. Everything. He wasn't visiting a lover. He was checking on someone he had helped save. Someone who had become family. Someone whose life would always be connected to ours. I started crying again. Not because I was hurt. Because I was ashamed. Ashamed of every accusation. Every suspicion. Every terrible conclusion. Daniel reached for my hand. This time I didn't pull away. I held it tightly. "I'm sorry." The words came out broken. "I should have trusted you." He squeezed my hand. "I should have told you." We sat there together. Two people apologizing. Two people healing. Two people learning that even strong marriages can be damaged by silence. Several months later, Claire joined us for Thanksgiving. Then Christmas. Then birthdays. Eventually she became part of our extended family. Not because we had to include her. Because we wanted to. One evening, nearly a year after the truth came out, Sophie asked a question during dinner. "Dad, if you had the chance to do it again, would you?" Daniel didn't hesitate. "Absolutely." The room fell silent. Then he smiled. "Life is too short not to help people." I looked around the table. At my children. At Claire. At Daniel. And I realized something important. Trust isn't believing someone will never hurt you. Trust is believing their heart is still good when you don't understand their actions. That lesson changed me forever. Because sometimes the story we create in our heads is far darker than reality. And sometimes the person we suspect of betrayal is quietly carrying a burden of love.